Welcome to the MBU Coaches Show. My name is Guy Danhoff, and I'm joined with Coach B, our head coach. Coach, this is year 8 for the Spartans. I know we're coming off a 4-7 year last year, but I got to start with asking you, what has training camp been like? Now we're in game week, but what's training camp been like for the Spartans?
I thought we had a really good training camp. We got a lot of reps for a lot of our young guys. We were able to shift practice plans around a little bit, and we're able to really get a lot of our young freshmen a lot of reps, be able to evaluate them a lot, which is always key in that time period. We did stuff a little bit different this time in how we rested our veterans, so hopefully that's paying off. I think so far I'm liking the way everybody's looking, and thought we came out of training camp healthy and ready to go.
So, Coach, now that you've seen the freshman class on the field, you and your coaching staff, you know that Kevin Paulson and I said this may be the strongest recruiting class Spartans have had maybe in team history. Is that proving on what you've been seeing in practice?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that we had high hopes for that are doing a lot of really good stuff on both sides of the ball. So I think the biggest thing is talent-wise, it's there. It's just getting them up to speed of what college football is all about. I think there's been a lot of gains in that area throughout training camp, but ultimately it's when you face another opponent and gauge yourself against somebody else that you really start to get those real reps. You know what Coach Bowden would always call the OJT, the on-the-job training.
Yep.
But they're really putting themselves in a good position. But just got to keep them healthy, continue to teach them and learn. I think down the road, this can be a really, really talented class, a really special class in MBU history, but it's about keeping them together. It's about continuing to develop them and getting them bigger and stronger, and that's stuff that we've got to continue to work on.
So, Coach, we know now that the evaluation period, for the most part, is over, right? I mean, you're just a few days away from the start of your first game this Saturday at 6 p.m. It's going to be a night game in Batesville, Arkansas. You know that you've always played them close and tough. Been so close so many times, but this year, obviously, the Start to 22 campaign, it's going to be really exciting. So let's dive right into what the Spartan fans really want to know, and they want to know who's going to be projected to be in the starting lineup. Let's start on offense, and let's start with the big boys up front. I know I'm a little partial, being an offensive lineman in my day, so let's start with the big boys up front. What do we got?
We got Nate Stotts will be getting a start. Marcus Sims, a freshman that we're really excited about out of Georgia, will be at guard. Nate, this will be his first collegiate start. A really highly recruited guy that we had out of Louisville, Kentucky, and this will be his first start. So excited that for him. And Xavier Tippler will be at center. Tanner Ray at guard, and then the backside guard will be Xavier Austin, a freshman from here in St. Louis out of Kirkwood High School.
So you got 3 freshmen starting.
Well, 2 freshmen, and then Nate is a redshirt freshman or a sophomore, but it'll be his first collegiate start. He's played some, had some time. I want to say this will be his redshirt sophomore year, but it'll be his first collegiate start.
All right, let's head then back to the backfield. Who you're starting running backs? I think I know who they are, but you probably should tell Spartan Nation.
Well, it's the guys you've been accustomed to seeing.
Right.
Demo, as we call him, Darius Morrison, and Ronald Allen will get the start back there. They'll get a lot of time. Lionel Banks, a freshman out of Hazelwood Central, could see some action, but those 2 will carry the load.
Let's go to your receivers. What do you got on the wideouts?
Well, at Josh Munn, we all know Josh and what he's done so far as a quarterback, but in the offseason moved him to wide receiver. He's really done a great job. Gavin Claude should get the start at the other wide receiver, and then 2 guys at the slot, Jacob Harness and Cam Sloan. Jake will be a senior, has seen time here and there, a lot of special teams time, but he's really done a great job going all the way back to spring. The level of, just how he's raised his level of play, and him and Cameron Sloan will get the start at the slot.
All right, and of course, I love this position. Let's talk about the tight end because, traditionally speaking, we've usually been strong in that area. So what we got this year?
Yeah, there's 3 guys that we're going to get some time. Sean Wright will get the start. Courtney Cox, another guy that he's just got a tremendously high ceiling. He'll be a redshirt freshman. And then true freshman Tyler Watson out of right here south of St. Louis.
All right, last but not least, we have to go here because we've been talking about it all fall camp, Kevin Paulson and I know that you started with 4. Who's going to be the starter at quarterback?
Well, that's Coach Snobble and Coach Fisher forgot to tell me who the starter was. So Cooper Brown out of Holt will get the start. I think our plan is to play both him and Ashton.
Yeah.
And we've talked to both of them about that. But, there's no real plan on necessarily when we're going to see Ashton. I think we just want to get him some reps throughout the game. We'll see how it all unfolds. The one thing we told Coop is, and what I told the offensive staff is, I really don't want to formulate a plan on that because it might, there's going to be a certain time where Cooper's got to get his rhythm and see how the game's unfolding and stuff like that. But the last thing we want to do is say, well, we planned it at this time, and he's just starting to get the feel and get hot. So want to give him every opportunity to jump in, and it's not. I think we're always evaluating every position, but both guys bring some really good stuff to the table, and we're excited about both of them. And then Alex Petker, he probably won't see a lot of time. Our goal is to redshirt him out of freshman, but all three of them are doing a good job.
Well, I'll just say this, Coach, that I'm always, being a former center, had a great relationship with all the quarterbacks, but I'll say this, looking at the fall camp, those freshman quarterbacks have played, in my opinion, they've accelerated what we'd normally have seen out of freshmen. So it'll be really exciting to see what now happens this Saturday.
No, and the exciting thing on both of them is that, Cooper and Ashton, both of them are extremely competitive guys. Yep. They're guys who elevate their game when the lights come on. And so I'm excited. Again, there's going to be growing pains, and that's going to be true with whatever position. Marcus Sims up front, Xavier Austin up front, Nate Stotts even just getting his first start and that kind of stuff. So on both sides of the ball, when we've got young guys in there, there's going to be growing pains. It's not just exclusive to the quarterback position, but I think all those guys that we've just talked about bring a lot to the table, and we're excited about them.
All right, well, let's flip to the defensive side of the ball. Let's just start with the big boys up front. The one nice thing I can say, at least from watching the fall camp, and that is you've got pretty much your returners back.
Yeah, up front, a lot of our returners, Jeremiah, there's nobody that's not a returner up on our defensive line with Jeremiah and Gio Sains, Anthony Graham, and then Raekwon Ramsey. All four of those guys have done a great job. They've been starters for several years. Obviously, Gio moving into his sophomore season, and he's been putting in a lot of work. But all those guys bring a lot to the table, and it's nice to have that consistency up front.
Absolutely. I'm just going to take a fun shot at somebody because Kevin and I, on the broadcast, we cannot tell you last year how many times Ramsey would make a great play. Helmet comes off. He's got to sit out the play. Have you addressed that this year?
Well, yeah, we have. We hope that we've got that fixed, but we'll find out on Saturday night. Believe it or not, his helmet has not popped off in a scrimmage yet, so that's a good start.
We'll knock on whatever this surface is. I know it's not wood, but whatever it is. All right. So let's go to what's always been one of the great strengths of our defense, and that is the linebacker core, because I know that you recruited heavily, and we've just had a lot of great ones through the years. And who are our starters across the linebacker core?
Yeah, two freshmen there, along with the returner, Blake Kite. Blake's just tremendous there at the Mike linebacker position. But Thomas Cloud, a freshman out of Georgia that we're really high on, will be our starting Sam linebacker, and then our money position will be Cade Beachside, who's really come along quite nicely throughout training camp. He's got a great grasp. Both those guys are really tough, smart, can run. So the ceiling on those guys, we're really excited about what they can do. And Cade is out of Washington High School, where Coach Fisher's from. So we got two really good linebackers out of there, him and Brock Skaggs. Brock's a little bit still recovering from an ACL tear that he had, but we're kind of easing him in. But Cade's come in and done a really nice job.
Okay, that leaves us with the defensive backs, which is what you coach now again.
Yeah.
And we have to start with and certainly pay tribute to the first team All-American last year in Jalen Cowley. I know he was basically like a student athlete coach on the field for you. I know that he had a 4-year starter, had an outstanding career, obviously, also played in the NAIA Showcase Special, East versus West, that you actually coached in.
Yeah.
And so what's our defensive backs going to look like?
Well, it's different for sure. I've had Jalen out there for, I guess, 5 years because of the COVID year.
Oh, that's true.
He
yeah.
got that extra year, and last year when we had JC out there and we had Joe at the other safety. Like, I feel like I'm working for the first time again. You know, I could just kind of give them everything and let them go to town. They did it. But Joe's back there. Joe, just tremendous guy, very tough, physical. Spartan fans very well aware of what Joe King can do in the secondary. Daryl Krieger is a guy from Fox who's seen some time. He's started at nickel for us in the past, but he'll be our other safety, and he's really done a great job. I think him and Joe work really well together. He's a very smart, intelligent guy back there. And then our two corners will be Zepp Velder and Domingo Loggins. So, you know, behind them, two guys that I think Spartan fans will get to see is Charvel McAllister. He's I guess he red shirt or maybe a sophomore now. Last year he was a freshman. I think we redshirted him last year, so he'd be a redshirt freshman now. And then Caleb Ford, who is a highly recruited guy that we have out of Texas. Both those guys will get some time at the corner position, and they continue to come along and do really. They're starting to show themselves what they can do and why we brought them here. So. You know, we'll see. There's still some youth there, still some things that we've got to get ironed out. But, you know, defensively, we do have some of those key guys in key positions that can at least kind of settle the waters.
So, Coach, the next segment, you know, I know that we really don't talk a whole lot about it at this stage, but I'm going to, you know, and Spartan fans, you may not know this, but for me being a former center, I was also our long snapper. So whenever the team would go out, I actually go out with the team at that time. I'm actually on the field watching all the action and get a sense to see what the Spartans special teams, as well as the other team, I mean, just bring up to the broadcast, you know, like wind conditions, those kinds of things. But I'm not just saying this. This year, Coach, from looking at what you have on the special teams, this may be the best special teams in team history, and let me tell you why. First and foremost, let's start with who's going to be doing the, you know, kicking off, and that's going to be O'Dane Reed, Odie. I'm just going to be flat out honest. I mean, average starting position for the other team now should work to the Spartans' advantage because he can boom it out of the end zone or you know, back far enough, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, he's got a tremendously strong leg. So from a kickoff perspective, if he gets a hold of it, you know, it might land out on the highway. So, you know, he's really done a good job. Jonah Cox is also going to get some time there, and I think what you're one thing that you're adding, not just, you know, some of the best, but we've got some depth there, which we haven't always had. And between Odie and Jonah, at least Saturday night, they'll be splitting times. You know, Odie might do the kickoffs, and then Jonah will do some of the field goals because Odie's been nursing a little bit of an injured knee on his plant leg, but he's coming back feeling good. Jonah's been putting in a lot of really good work, and his consistency is getting much better. And then, you know, from the punting position, we also have a freshman, Carson Langford, who can do a little bit of both. And Jaden George is another guy. He'll be a redshirt freshman this year, and throughout the summer, you know, he's just a tremendously hard worker himself and has improved himself a lot. So we have some depth there, along with obviously a guy you're probably going to mention, Gavin Claude at the punter.
Of course.
And what Josh can do. So, you know, yeah, it's really, really strong in regards to special teams, and that's a huge part of the game.
Well, it is. I'm just going to say this from watching, you know, your punters work. I mean, you've got a couple punters that can hit that, you know, +4 hang time, which is certainly what the NFL looks for. You know, at times they can get that hang up, so you're not going to get hopefully a lot of big returns from that. The other thing is, at any given moment, we know Josh Munn can pooch or whatever you're going to do with him. So it's going to make it a lot more interesting to see how teams are going to play you, because you've got really 3 options at punter. But your punting options, you got guys that can kick it pretty far. But most importantly, you know this, and that hang time and getting your coverage to get underneath it. I just see that as a huge plus. The other thing I do want to say, and I want Spartan fans to know this, I'm not just saying this, and we have verification of this. You know, last spring I know that, you know, you guys released a video of Odie, and he kicked a 70-yarder in practice. Now, I'm going to ask this question. I'm not going to ask would you have him kick a 70-yarder in a game, but would it be so crazy to think if you're looking at 60, 65 yards, again, as long as the wind's not working against you, say it's before half, or, you know, maybe it's a game-winning shot you've got to do. I mean, is it possible that you would do something like that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think the situation plays into it. You know, obviously the opponent's going to get decent field position anytime you kick that far. So it's typically going to be an end of game or end of half type situation. But yeah, I don't care if it's a 70-yarder. If it's going to win the game, we've got a guy who legitimately could take a shot at it if things are in his favor. You know, this summer he actually kicked an 80-yarder out here when he came up and was just working out. So his leg strength is tremendous. I think we're just on him about just staying healthy, because obviously you put too many of those under your belt, it's going to wear you down quick. But he's getting some looks. You know, he's put videos out there, had NFL teams retweet him. He's getting some looks from the Jacksonville Jaguars and a few other guys. So, you know, he's got all the tools, and yeah, I mean, if it comes down to winning or losing a game, yeah, we're going to take a shot at it, because in all honesty, we probably have a higher percentage of him hitting a 60, 65-yarder sometimes than even a Hail Mary. So you got to just kind of do what you feel at the time is going to give you the best option to win a football game, and if it comes down to that, we'll absolutely do it. Right,
and then last but not least, we cannot forget these folks, but let's talk about your kick return and your punt returners. You know, last year we saw Domingo Longans take it to the house, and he's just got breakaway speed. I mean, he hits a seam, he's gone. Talk to us a little bit about that side of the game too, because that's also really interesting, that you just can't kick wherever.
Right.
We've got some great returners as well coming back into 2022.
Yeah, and we got some young guys who've been working back there that are pretty explosive as well. So, you know, Lionel Banks, who may not see a lot of time at running back, at least early on with Ron and Demo there, but he's explosive with the ball, and he can go back there and return kicks. You got Domingo who can do it. We've got another couple young guys, Clifford Chandler, who's going to be maybe seeing some time at the DB position, but he's an explosive guy, and really was a running back in high school that we just moved to defense because of depth and his overall athleticism. So we've got some guys there that they have the ability to do it. I think when we're talking about punts and kickoff returns and all that, you know, I think the thing we've seen over the years, and Coach Coe preaches this, is just putting intelligent, smart guys back there that know what to do. With the rules being different now, you know, being able to fair catch a kickoff and start at the 25, we need guys who are smart back there and understand when is a good time to take a shot and when it's not. So, you know, Coach Coe is taking over special teams this year with the departure of Coach Kern, who's been with us since year one. But he had a fantastic opportunity. He's offensive coordinator at Westminster College now down in Fulton, Missouri. So we're excited for him in that transition, and Coach Coe will make sure that those guys are right back there.
Absolutely. So my last question is this. I have to ask it. Because I'm only saying this because of what you said in the fall camp report. You know, you kind of treat the first game a little bit differently because there's some things you're going to expect. So, in your mind, what's going to be the keys to the Spartan success for game one?
I think they're the same every year for most teams, and that is that who's going to execute at the highest level and who's going to eliminate mistakes. I think those are keys going into any game, but I think they show up more in early games, you know, and whether it's penalties, turnovers, special teams, those kind of things. I think one of our goals every year when we come in early to the season is to make sure that we're executing at a high level, make sure that we don't have too much of our installation in, that we don't know how to operate and we're just doing too much, kind of being a jack of all trades and a master of none. I think that's a goal as we go into every game, but inevitably as the year goes on, you start game planning a little bit more. Right now, we really don't know what Lyon has. We've got film on them from last year, but just like they have film on us, and they could change. They can make some tweaks. The personnel is different, and so I think when you go into that early game, you just really focus more on what you do and less about the opponent. And in a lot of ways, that's the way we should keep it. But as coaches, we get too wrapped up in what the opponent does sometimes. But just trying to execute at a high level and eliminate mistakes is going to be our game plan.
Well, Coach, we want to wish you all the best. And before we go, though, we want to give a big shout out to certainly someone who's been a great friend to this program for several years, and that is Brad Saigun. Brad is the Director of Marketing and Communications for the NAIA nationally. Brad used to be here as our Sport Information Director. I believe he was here either 5 or 6 years. But Brad was just announced this past week that he'll be inducted into the Spartan Athletics Hall of Fame for the class of 2022. And we just want to say congratulations to you, Brad, because just back a few years ago, we were on that broadcast when we went down to Batesville, Arkansas, as the Spartans took on Lyon College, and it was just a great time working with you. But we just want to just say, again, congratulations, and we cannot wait to see you at the MBU Hall of Fame banquet.
Absolutely. He's well-deserved, excited for Brad. And I had the opportunity, because of his position at the NAI, to work with him and see him down in North Carolina when we were doing the All-Star games. So that was a lot of fun to see him and catch up with him. But, one of the best, and we're excited for him to be in the Hall of Fame.
All right, Spartan fans, here we are. It's going to be the season opener this Saturday at 6 o'clock in Batesville, Arkansas. You can catch all the action, and just follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, or on Facebook, and we'll get you the link so you can watch the game live. For Coach B, I'm Guy Danhoff. We want to thank you for watching this right now on the Coaches Show on the Spartan Digital Network.